Hola guys and girls, and welcome to part 4 of the Pincer Mania, my beloved series in which we basically take 3 people to argue about league related stuff, give points to them according to like how they do, and yeah, having a win at the end. For that I of course have again 3 beautiful guests with me, starting with the coach of the New Orleans Pelicans in the GBA, the face which needs the beard the most. We got John here, aka Pokémon.
You know, I'm just happy you said me first. You know, I feel there's some respect. I feel like I already got a point. I might as well have won this already. You know, you can continue, but
you
why?
realize that they save the best for last, right?
Well, as long as it's not.
Okay,
yeah.
there are still 2 people in the background, of course. I did not introduce yet. Let's keep on with that. Next up, we got the Britain guy with the fish in the tank, which is Will, coach of the Buffalo Bills in various leagues, in the Screw Draft League and the PFC and D League. Will, yeah, there he is.
Hey guys, how's it going?
There we got Will,
yeah,
and
I'm the fish guy.
yeah, the fish guy. And as last, like he already mentioned it, you saved the best for last. We got the meme itself, coach of the Miami Road to Heat in various leagues as well, head analyst of the PPL, Ethan.
Yeah, hi, hello. I do stuff sometimes.
Sometimes he does stuff, yeah. But okay, this is the beautiful squad I have here now to face off with each other, and we hop right into the first round, which is none other than best grass type in league format. And starting off with their pick and why he picked that, let's hear John.
Alright, so I picked Mammo, right? Now, okay, so Mega Venusaur. I picked Mega Venusaur. It's kind of simple. Now, this is something that people have argued might be one of the better Megas in the format. So when we go to grass types, not really a ton of super good grass types. I feel like Mega Venusaur is easily the best grass type in the Draft League format. 123 defense, 122 special attack, 120 special defense, and 100 attack. You can make it a physical wall, a special wall, physical attacker, a special attacker. There's a variety of different things it can do. It's really difficult to prepare for and know what kind of set the opponent's going to be running, and it's something that you want to take down right away. So if you plan for it completely, they don't even bring it. Half of your plan could have been devoted to taking this incredible mon down. Now you're screwed. So I definitely have to think Mega Venusaur is one of the better mons in general and definitely the best grass type.
Okay, that was John's pick. Next up, we hear Will. What did you choose?
So my choice is Tangrowth for this one. My opinion on this is it's great in terms of value. It's super bulky. That regenerator just is absolutely insane. You can run it a great physical wall, a really annoying special wall with this assault vest. It's really hard to take down. Fantastic coverage as well. And also, this really important fact, if you strip back a Tangrowth, you've got sticks inside of there. Now, Lars, what happens if you hit a stick and break it in 2? What happens?
I don't know.
You get 2 sticks.
Okay.
Oh, wait, hold on. Here's my argument. You get 1 stick and you break it into 2. My sticks will lead me to victory.
Yeah.
So do we take points away before we give points? Can I start taking points away?
It's definitely a viable point there. I will think about that rule for the next rounds.
Okay.
But okay, that was...
On top of that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm not finished
Okay,
just yet.
go ahead.
Last
go
point
ahead.
as well.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, in terms of its dex entry as well, if we have a look at Pokemon Sun and Moon's dex entry, my uncle actually works at Nintendo, so I've actually got early access to this. It actually says, his palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy, there's vomit on his sweater already, mum's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop mons. So as you can see, a really fantastic grass type. Definitely the best one out there.
Did you pick that? Did they pick that specific verse of that song specifically because he resembles spaghetti, or is that just by chance?
Oh, just because he's awesome, basically.
Ah, I see.
Yeah, right.
Okay, yeah.
There it is.
Now, up to the next one. Yeah, Ethan, what did you choose and why?
Alright, so for my grass type, I picked Shaman. And the reason I actually picked Shaman is because the grass typing in draft format is not that fantastic. There are better offensive types and better defensive types. So getting down to the nitty-gritty of what defines a good grass type, I picked Shaman because not only is it a base 100 mon, it's one of the pixies, so on and so forth, base 100 stats, whatever. It also can run off. It can be offensive and defensive. It doesn't take up a Mega slot like Mega Venusaur does. It's not as slow, and it doesn't suffer from having poor special defense like Tangrowth does. And in general, it fills the supportive role as a little bit better than other grass types, at least in my opinion. Like, you can run it as an offensive pivot, you can run it as a defensive pivot, you can use it for Tailwind support, you can run Sub-Seed. It also has a great signature move in Seed Flare, which can allow it to 1v1 especially defensive mons by getting lucky drops with said Seed Flare. But, I don't know. I think it's, for what it is, I think it is best bang for your buck in terms of getting a grass type in League format.
Okay, nice. That was Shaman. We heard now all the picks and why they picked them. Now we can start the round in which you can basically argue why the arguments are wrong, why your pick is superior than the other two. And yeah, John, let us hear. Why do Tangrowth and Shaman suck, and why is Mega Venusaur awesome?
Well, this is pretty simple. So we got 3 grass types, and you know the common thing between all of them is they all have pretty decent attack, defense, special attack, defense, except for Tangrowth. So that's, I might as well just kick that one out. They're kind of similar in that sense. They're all, you know, they have 4 really good stats. They don't really have many terrible stats. Well, Tangrowth does have the bad speed. So I'm just going to kick Tangrowth. It's like a bad version of Mega Venusaur. We're going to kick that guy. It doesn't have the fight. Yeah, just kick it. Bye. Okay, so Shaman. Now we're gonna 1v1 with Shaman. Shaman does have better speed, does have better HP. That's very true. But you're not going to really be able to run it physically as you can with Mega Venusaur. You can't really set up with it as well as Mega Venusaur, and if you want to run it as a wall, you're probably not going to have the best time. I do admit the rest on it with Natural Cure, really good. Seed Flare, you can definitely run this thing more offensive. You could do Leech Seed, but it just seems it's more one-dimensional than Mega Venusaur would be. You're almost always going to have it be more specially offensive. Something with Mega Venusaur, who just has the 122 special attack. Even if it is completely a support set, if you have Sludge Bomb or Giga Drain, something on there with Stab, it's still going to do a lot of damage to things that are not resisting those moves. So I just kind of feel like Mega Venusaur has everything good that the other ones have. Maybe something like Shaman can do something a little bit better, but I think all around Mega Venusaur has the best package.
Okay, Will, John just said Tangrowth is out of the window. What is your answer to that?
I've got a couple of shots to fire back right there. So, even though John right now is ragging on Tangrowth, what you guys may not know is before this, I chose Tangrowth, and John was very upset that that was not the mon he got to choose. And considering this is his first choice, and he's arguing about Mega Venusaur being better, should he really believe in that pick, really? Ooh. He should be backing up the Tangrowth on this one. Also, going on to the mon itself, I kind of believe it's going the way of the dinosaurs in terms of the draft format, because each season the GBA, the way I look, it seems to just perform less and less well. People know how to deal with it. Yes, it is a pain, but people are finding more ways to work around it and things like that. And I also find, I've used it before in League, and I find the lack of recovery really hampers it as a wall, because yes, you can switch it into schools and things like that, but once it gets burnt, it gets worn down so easily, and it's a real pain to have to try and deal with that. Moving on to Shaman as well.
Yeah,
I think John's
are you arguing
really good
for
points.
Shaman?
No, he was
giving. No, I know. No. He's giving you more. You get burned. He's got natural cure. What are you doing, Will? You're killing us. You're killing us.
He was talking about Mega Venusaur.
No, I know.
Yeah.
God.
So I think I've got less negative points with Shaman. I would say the fact that it can't run Mega Venusaur is a good argument, John, on top of that. And also the lack of setup. I think also, I know Rest in theory sounds really good, but talking to George, who used it in the D-League, he found Rest actually lost him a lot of momentum most of the time. And that's something I wouldn't be particularly keen of. If you look at Tangrowth's got Regenerator, so you don't even have to waste turns trying to heal up. You just have to switch out into other mons and play around that and things like that. So overall, I still think Tangrowth's got it.
Okay, Tangrowth got the best recovery in Will's opinion. So even Shaman, it was it was a viable choice in the other. Never mind, I talked too much and I talked bad. So even go on and save me, please.
You're gonna mess me up like you did in the Amigos Capecia.
Yeah. I hope not.
Alright, so let's start off by addressing the other points that my other contestants, competitors, so what have you, have mentioned. Let's start off with the lack of recovery. Albeit, like, when people think of Shaman, they think of, cool, we can run Rest and Natural Cure, easy peasy, switch out, so on and so forth. Like, it'll never die whatsoever. The thing is, like, a lot of people forget that you can get a lot of passive recovery from Leech Seed plus Leftovers. You can get instant recovery in Synthesis. And so on and so forth. So you can have these recovery options that don't lose momentum. It doesn't force you to switch out. Like, you can 1v1 things if you really needed to. And there's also the fact that it does get growth. Shaman also gets growth and Sword Stance. So it does have setup options, albeit they're not fantastic. I know John mentioned the fact that Venusaur runs a better physical set, but more often than not, you're not going to be running a physical Mega Venusaur. It's going to be bulky with a little bit of attack investment left over, whereas you can run Swords Dance, Zen Headbutt, Seed Bomb, Natural Gift, whatever. On Shaman, there's also the fact that, like, Shaman doesn't lose... I think people sleep on Shaman a lot more than they do with Venusaur and Tangrowth. Like, it's deceptively bulky given the right investment, and, like, I myself have struggled playing against Shaman just because I've underestimated it. It gets a surprising amount of coverage. Like, I never knew that it gets Dazzling Gleam, which was a pain for me, at least. It also gets Earth Power. And you could, in fact, run a Sash Endeavor set as well. So I think, overall, it is a lot more flexible than the other two, and it can do everything that the other two mons can do. Whether it can do it better, I don't know, but they are on equal level, at least in my opinion.
Okay, there we got Shaman, and yeah, we start the last rounds of arguments, be it bringing up a new one or debunking a brought up one. So yeah, John, your last words on Mega Venusaur or any other thing which got mentioned.
Alright, boom. Last words. Well, you know, I do want to say, Ethan, good job, man. You know, what a guy.
Hey, thanks, man.
Will, what a great guy. I just want to throw some compliments out there. But great guys. You know, you did good. It's second place is fun, but now Mega Venusaur, it's no, I'm not actually that cocky. Mega Venusaur, it's a good mon. The biggest argument I've ever heard from Mega Venusaur is it's too overvalued, and it's such a bad argument, because if it's overvalued, that means people are thinking it's way too good, but if you take away from way too good, it's just really good, rather than, you know, a top 5 pick. Maybe it's just a first round pick in most leagues. It's always going to be good. You're going to have to plan for it extensively. There's not many mons that just destroy Mega Venusaur. It has 2 weaknesses, and that's pretty significant as well. It does have recovery, doesn't have instant recovery, which can be difficult, but not many things can bring it down to the point where you're going to two-shot it. If you switch it in, you should be able to get a synthesis up. It does outspeed most walls in itself, which is really nice. I think things like Tangrowth, it does have Regenerator, but that 50 special defense is just, it cripples it, and you have to put an Assault Vest on. You don't get leftovers, so when you switch it in, you just have to switch it out, which kind of hurts your team, as they are now going to get hit by another move as well. When that's your wall, you want to switch it into wall things, not to take a hit, oh shit, I messed up, let's get out of here. That's not always good for the rest of the team. Shaman, I think it's a fantastic mon, I think it's underrated, but I just think that Mega Venusaur can do a little bit more in most categories, definitely not in special attacking wise. I think Shaman is probably the best of all of them, special attacking wise, but I think in most of the other ways that you could use these 3 mons, that Mega Venusaur is the better one.
Okay, these are the last words on Mega Venusaur. So, Will, what do you got to say on Tangrowth?
So my final words on Tangrowth mainly come from the fact the value pick. Now, I know John's saying that Mega Venusaur is fantastic and everything like that, but that is taking up your Mega slot. And I would argue there are better offensive Megas that fit a lot of teams better. I personally prefer to have an offensive Mega and have more defenses within the actual other picks themselves, just because a lot of the very spooky offensive Pokemon are mainly the Mega sets. So having something that's a much lower value, it's sort of the amount that you get from that mon divided by how much it's actually cost you. And I think as a ratio, Tangrove's got it much better than Mega Venusaur does. Shaman, it's harder to tell because obviously it depends how the tiering system works. I know it's Tangrowth is currently UU in the GBA format, but in other formats it is down at RU. So I would argue it's still, in the overall league context, I would still say it's got better value than Shaman.
Okay, the value point was the last one, Will. So, Ethan, what do you gotta say?
Okay, so
It's about to wrap
I have I have a lot of different ideas and I don't know how to put them all together. But let's start off with the fact that I am gonna build off of what Will has said prior to this. Your Mega Venusaur takes up your Mega slot. You're holding Mega Venusaur up to the heights of things that are absolutely incredible in League format. Like, we're talking things like Mega Sableye, we're talking things like Mega Altaria, we're talking things like Mega Lopunny. These things are undoubtedly, they will always perform and they will always be worth putting on the team, given that you prep well and play well. The thing is that it's incredibly stagnant. Like, you bring it in and then all momentum you previously had just dies. Like, it forces you to just double switch and so on and so forth. It doesn't force switches in the sense that, oh god, he's gonna kill me. It's more like, hey, I guess I'll just go into my answer for this and then we'll go from there. Whereas when you have things like Shaman, you don't know what Shaman's gonna bring. Like, its coverage is incredible, especially for what it is. Like, it gets Earth Power for some reason. It also gets Air Slash and so on and so forth. There's also the fact that it can just run a Cleric set better than the other two combined. Like, not only do you have Aromatherapy, you also have Healing Wish, and there's also the fact that it can just be better offensively. Like, you're not going to be running a fast Mega Venusaur because you need the bulk. Like, if you're drafting a Mega Venusaur, that is a major part in your defensive core. So if you run offensive Mega Venusaur, you're probably just going to get nuked by something, and then that'll make you sad, make your viewers sad, and everybody will be sad. It's bad news bears. The thing is with, what's his face, stick guy, Tangrowth.
Spaghetti meme.
If you want to run that offensively, it has to rely on really inaccurate moves or just really weak moves. There's no really in between. Like, you're not going to do huge damage with a Giga Drain unless you're 2 or 4 times weak to it, or unless you want to rely on things like Leaf Storm. And if we think about GPC season whatever it was, Nacho lost the finals because he missed a Leaf Storm.
Season 2 was that, by the way.
Yeah, close enough. So the point I'm making is that it basically does everything else. It can do everything really well, whereas there are certain parts where Tangrowth and Venusaur excel at, they don't have the whole package. So, I don't know.
Okay, so now that I heard all the arguments and counter-arguments and all this good stuff, it's up to me to decide who will get this round. And in my opinion, I think that I would give the point this to Shaman and Ethan. That is because basically most of your counter-arguments which you made try to make this a Shaman. They're most of the times the weakest. Like, all your pro-arguments were fine, I agreed with most of them, but most of the times it was Mega Venusaur got debunked because it takes up your Mega slot, basically. And there are other options and stuff like that. Of course, it's great. Same goes for Tangrowth. I drafted it myself in the GBA, but yeah, the very low special defense suffers from that. And I learned it myself the hard way that you basically have to, if you want to have it as a wall on both sides, it has to have the Assault Vest. And yeah, Shaman, you did very good job on how versatile Shaman can be, what great moves it gets. It's basically the only Cleric. Tangrowth doesn't even get Aromatherapy. I don't know about Mega Venusaur, I think it doesn't get it either. I'm not sure on that, so, but yeah.
No, I don't think it does.
Yeah, it doesn't.
No,
yeah,
it
It does not.
Okay, so yeah, I want to give this point to Ethan and Shaman. So yeah, first round over, 1-0 for Ethan.
Alright, Lars, I have a question, a very important question.
Yeah, okay.
Did I still look good during the
I mean, I don't know how you're looking at the moment. Like, if there's no significant change to when I saw you last time, you're still pretty.
No.
You're still pretty.
Okay, I'll take the loss. I'll take it.
But okay, there's still room for both of them to get it tied or even come in front of Ethan because we have 2 more rounds. And yeah, starting with round 2, we will right away, which is, of course, another league topic. And this time we are looking for the best Pink Mon in League format, be it naturally pink or shiny pink. Both is fine for that. And yeah, we start with the winner of last round on this one. Ethan, what is your pick and why?
Okay, so my pink Mon, when this was brought up for discussion, I immediately locked in Mew, which is arguably the best Mon in League format, hands down. I had notes on this just because, like, trying to go through all of Mew's good points, like, I can't do it accurately, so I made a little list, except I lost it, so I'm gonna have to wing it a little bit. When you think of Mew, immediately people think of, like, that really annoying OU stat where it's just, like, Willow, Roost, Defog, Knockoff. Yeah, like, that's the standard set, but that really doesn't, like, cover the range and depth of how fantastic a base 100 Pixie is, especially with the coverage that Mew has. You yourself, Lars, know how fantastic Mew is when we used it in the Amigos Capricia. It is fantastic. It can pick up surprise Okos on so many things. Not only that, but not only does it have an immense support move pool, you can also run great setup moves like Bulk Up and Nasty Plot. Hold on, this is why I needed my list. Help!
Yeah, it gets
Help
Nasty
me.
Plot.
Oh, okay. You look
Sword
good.
Stance, and thank you. And it gets Amnesia as well, so you can run Baton Pass on it super duper well. It gets Heal Bell, it gets Weather, it gets I don't even know. It gets so much stuff, and it makes me so happy. Oh, I'm gonna cry. Oh my god. No, but in all seriousness, like, if you draft well around Mew and then allow it to really be as flexible as it needs to be, it will hands down outperform anything else on your team, and I can guarantee that, as long as you allow it to.
Okay, that was Mew and Ethan. So next up we got John. What is your pink pick of this round?
Alright, so Pink Mon, Clefable. It's actually very interesting. Now, Clefable and Mew are very similar. They're very different Mons, but they're similar in the sense that they can do almost anything, and it is just ridiculous. Clefable, though, I feel it's a very, very reliable Mon. You got two incredible abilities in Magic Guard and Unaware, which are so difficult to prepare for. If you want to set up in any way, oh shit, you might have Unaware Clefable. That's always in the back of your mind. If you have any Mon that's going to set up in any way. Magic Guard, you can't stall out this incredibly annoying wall with Toxic. You can't burn it. It can just switch into any status you want. It can also get rid of any status for your team. It can set up rocks. It can annoy everything. It's a fairy type. Fairy types are just incredible. Get rid of the dragons. There's so many great things it can do. And it doesn't only have to be a wall. It does have 95 special attack, which is only 5 worse than Mew, which in a lot of people's eyes is a lot better offensive Mon, which maybe has Nasty Plot and Sword Dance, might be a little quicker, but it's just definitely underrated on the special attacking side. Fairy type Stab is fantastic. There's not many resistances, and even from the resistances that are out there, they're not always the most common. Things like Fire, you can get Stealth Rocks up, which is really nice. It has instant recovery. I'm like 99% sure it has Wish. I don't know why I'm forgetting that. It does. It's easier to run softball, but you can use Wish if your team needs that. That's a great thing with this format. You can draft and you can do whatever you want. If you want a softball, do you want a Wish? It's very good. It has Flamethrower coverage for all the types that are super effective against it. Usually Steel types, one of the few things that can take on Clefable, aren't that good against special attacking moves. I could go on. Big thing, it can do pretty much anything in the Draft League for it. It is mostly defensive, but you can go especially offensive, and it will be very effective whenever you bring it.
Okay, that was Clefable, and as last but definitely not least, Will, what do you got for us?
Okay, so my best pink Pokemon is Shiny Weavile. This thing is an absolute offensive monster. The offensive typing of Ice and also Dark hits a lot of teams either super effectively or neutrally and just does so much damage, and it's such a pain to prep for. I don't know what it is, but when you end up drafting teams, they just end up being very, very weak to these type combinations. I don't know whether because Psychic types are actually quite good in the format and are quite valued. Obviously that does make a big difference to that. If we go back to the GBA Season 4, it got 17 kills and 3 deaths in the regular season, which is just absolutely crazy. If I remember rightly, it was actually top in kills for that season as well. It pulls off the pink look really, really well. It's got incredible speed, absolutely insane, powerful priority with that Ice Shard. If you want to run it, a defensive team to try and beat it, it's got knockoff. It can take off that recovery. With enough support, you can switch it out and, bring it back in later on just to clean up. Really, really great late game cleaner. Access to SD as well. If it gets an SD up, it's basically game from there. It's just an absolutely fantastic clean-up mon. Picks off, great revenge killer as well. And on top of this as well, Ash never had it in the anime, so therefore it's probably quite a good mon.
Okay, the nice anime argument. But okay, yeah, now we can start the second round in which you basically can talk again about what the others said. And yeah, we start of course with Ethan.
Alright, I'm gonna start off and say that Clefable cannot do almost anything in League format.
If you believe it can!
No, I mean, having used it and having drafted a team where it performed extremely well, I've never found a use for a physical Clefable. Like, almost always it will be either a Carmine defensive sweeper or it'll be a defensive pivot that will also either spread status or cure my status personally. Like, it is a great cleric, it is a great Carmine sweeper. However, the only thing that Clef can do that Mew can't is have... Oh, 2 things. It has Stab, Moonblast, and it can Wish. Literally the only 2 things that it can do that Mew can't. Mew can be a defensive Calm Mind Sweeper. Mew can help check dragons with either Dazzling Gleam or Ice Beam. It can set up rocks. It can get rid of rocks. So on and so forth. Like, it just outperforms when it just outperforms Clefable in the sense like it can do everything that Clefable can do, and it can do more. The only difference is the fact that it is a Psychic type, and it doesn't have access to Magic Guard. But it does have access to Synchronize, which also cripples the other guy. So it's a give and take. In terms of Weavile, I myself have personally used Psychic types to counter Weavile. Like, it's really fun. Everyone should do it at least once because it's really satisfying. The thing with Weavile is that it is incredibly predictable. Like, if it's one of those mons, like, if you have it on a team, like, you can kind of just assume that the other guy's gonna bring it just because it's so fun to use, and not only that, it's also really good. But like 9 times out of 10, it is going to have Ice Shard, it's gonna have Knockoff, and then it's the last 2 slots that are kind of up in the air depending on whether or not the other guy is worried about a Fairy, where it can have Poison Jab, or then you have a fat Steel type, it can have Low Kick, so on and so forth. I agree that if you let it get us SD up, it's a huge problem, but at the same time, you can beat it. Like, Mew has access to Will-O-Wisp, it has access to Reflect type, you can easily run Cobra Berry, Hidden Power Fighting, which is really fun. Everyone should do it. And then the fact, like, it can just beat it 1v1. Like, you could either check it offensively with, like, Overheat, or you could check it defensively with, like, what I've just mentioned. It just gets outperformed. Like, you can do everything, and it's glorious.
Okay, that is Mew and the other guys. So, John, why is Clefable better than the rest? Let us know.
Alright, well, first off, I believe in Clefable, so it can do a little bit more than the other mons. If you don't believe in your team... did you watch the anime? Whatever, okay, they don't...
I didn't actually, I'm sorry.
Wow,
Wait,
okay.
was that a prerequisite before
Okay,
coming on
that's
here?
a minus point. Okay, you're back at 0.
Yeah,
Ethan.
that's
No!
childhood, Ethan. You know what? So, Clefable and Mew. It's very hard to argue that Clefable is going to be able to do things like be a physical offensive mon compared to Mew. It's going to do this, but it's not going to outspeed things. It can't defog. I understand that, and I think both of them are really quick, or very close together. I kind of have to get rid of Weavile again, and this is nothing against Will. I do love you,
sure?
buddy. The only problem is it has no defense, it has no special attack, it's so one-dimensional. It's incredible in the one thing it can do, but it is so one-dimensional. It's just, I can't say it's better than Clefable and Mew, but that's me personally. he can just completely destroy me with his argument, but I'm going to have to focus in on Mew. Now, it isn't a fairy type, and it can't have Wish. Now, Wish may not be as big, but the fairy type. Last round, a lot of people said, well, you don't want Mega Venusaur in your Mega spot, this and that, this and that. That's very true. But on most teams, if you want to have 2 Psychic types, you can. But are you really going to have more than 1 Psychic type? And Psychic type is one that just has so many good Mons in the format that you can use. So many fantastic Mons that can take the role of being your Psychic type. Mew can be almost anything, but that also can be difficult to build around, and I've seen more people fail with Mew than succeed with Mew. Clefable, it's almost impossible to fail with Clefable. I mean, if you just want to be simple and run one standard set, it's going to do well every game. Fairy types are just so good in the format, and it's one of the best fairy types, if not the best fairy type. There's only so many fairy types you can have, so that's already a huge plus. But with Mew, you have to get another Stealth Rocker, you have to get another Defogger, you have to get another Cleric, you have to get another this and that. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck doing the same sort of kind of utility things with Mew, which really hampers it from its full potential. It's a weird argument, but it's almost that Mew is too good for it to really shine, because you do have to have the complementary pieces. If it's your only Stealth Rocker, or it's your most reliable Stealth Rocker, you're going to have Stealth Rocks on that thing every single week, and that's just leaving you with 3 moves, especially if you want to be offensive. It becomes difficult, and just the fact that it has so many things can cloud when you're, team building. Oh, I already have a defog, I already have this, I already have that, I have this. Okay, so I'm going to go for this thing. You get to round 5, 6, 7, you're like, oh shit, okay, need another rapid spinner, I need another stealth, oh god damn it, what did I do to myself? It can be difficult. Now, Ethan he's a wonderful man, and maybe he will build the best team in the world around Mew, but right now, I gotta say that I believe that Clefable is the best.
Okay, there's John believes in his pick, so not in Weavile so much. Will, what do you gotta say about that?
Okay, so I think you guys made some good points, but my argument is that Weavile, it just doesn't have to be versatile. It does one job, but it does that job incredibly well, and that's why I think it's an absolutely fantastic mod. Now what I'm going to do is have a look at your guys. So first of all, John, sorry to pick you first, but I must admit, first of all, I know you were talking about physically attacking Clefable. I must admit, I do miss the normal type double edge set that they used to have the Magic Guard. That was a lot of fun to use. But now going into picking into it, I know you say it's versatile and everything like that, but almost every situation you have to run it as a wall. I know you brought up that it's got 95 special attack and that's fantastic and everything like that, but you didn't mention about the fact with the defenses. The defenses, I know they're above average, but they're not good enough where you just can't invest EVs into them. If you just ran a max HP, max special attack Clefable, it's going to really struggle taking hits compared to a much bulkier Clefable. And I personally think it's not a viable set to run in most situations. The defenses just really need that EV investment to actually make them worthwhile and really, really good. On top of this as well, I know you say it's got great coverage and all that great stuff like that, but if you think about it, most of the time you've got to run Moonblast, because that's your primary stab. You've got to run Recovery, because otherwise it gets worn down far too easily. It relies on Recovery because it's got, as I said, just above average defenses on there, and that's half your moveset already gone right there. On top of this as well, going to the Unaware set, there's also compatibility issues with the Unaware set as well, which is a real pain, where you can't run Softball with it. You're forced to either run Wish and Protect, which loses you momentum, they are able to switch out and things like that, or you're forced to run Moonlight, which has got lower PP and is also affected by weather. Going on to the Mew set, I can understand Mew a little bit more. I would definitely class that above the Clefable for this, but I think it needs a lot of team support. A little bit like what John says, if you want to draft it, you have to draft around it. If you pick it up, like there's a lot of mons where you pick this up and draft and you go, right, that's great, I've got a really great reliable rocker, I've got my defogger, I don't have to worry too much about it because, I can bring this quite often. Whereas if you pick up the Mew, you've then got to draft, you're basically taking one mon out of your draft and relying on the rest of your draft to do all of the other roles to make sure that you don't sort of limit Mew into one slot. To basically unlock its potential, you've got to really work hard on the rest of the draft and really sort of, have the risk of potentially crippling that side. I also think it's the sort of jack of all trades but master of none as well, where yes, it's got 100 round the board stats, but if you run it offensively, base 100, I know it's got the good coverage, but base 100 speed and also special attack is outclassed by a lot of other offensive Pokemon, obviously on the attack side as well. And I would say, yes, it is really good defensively, but on the offensive side, a little bit more lackluster compared to more dedicated offensive mons.
Okay, that were the counter arguments from Will. Looking into the last round now, what are your last words on your mon or the opponent's mons? Ethan, go ahead.
Okay, so let's start off by addressing the points brought up. Let's start with Will, because his, like, I recognize, like, I can remember them better, basically. The thing is like, actually no, both of you brought this up. The thing is like, when you have, when you're team building, like, I don't know about you guys, but I myself will always draft multiple. I would draft multiple stealth rockers, I would draft multiple forms of removal, I would draft multiple physically offensive things, especially offensive things. You would always have multiple of some role, just because you don't want to lock yourself into that kind of, oh man, guess I gotta run freaking Stealth Rocks Gobalion every single week, so on and so forth. Like, that's fundamentally bad team building, like, and I think we all can, like, recognize that. So when you guys bring up the fact that, like, Mew is, like, as Will literally just said, jack of all trades, master of none, you have, you could have a Mew and then have a Garchomp, you can have a Mew and then, like, a Zapdos, and so on and so forth. Like, you will be able to pass the roles around with however many other mons you have on your team. Moving on to the more offensive aspect, I think the difference between Mew and other, like, dedicated attackers is the fact that, like, it's less a sweeper, but more of, hey, you want to get 60 to 70% off on something? Here, have this move. Oh, you have a Heatran, let's just run flippin' Earthquake and just bop it straight up. Like, so on and so, it's very easy just to slap on moves to it. You're not going to sweep with it, but you will guaranteed get really good damage off on something, given the right investment. I think Will kind of just addressed the issues with Clefable better than I did, so I'm going to just leave it there, actually.
Okay, that's all from Ethan. So yeah, John, let us hear your last thoughts about Clefable and Weavile Mew.
Alright, awesome. Clefable. Still believing in my pal Clefable now. You know, we kind of laid into Ethan about how, okay, you could have Mew and it gets stuck in the same role, you want to have this and that on your team, but then that same argument was for Clefable, you're always going to do this, you're always going to do that, you're only going to do... If you draft Clefable and you draft it to only do that, then it's going to be incredible at doing that. If you draft Clefable to do more than just that and you have it only do that, that is on you for drafting bad. And that is not my problem. But I do think Clefable can do more. It has the ability to do much more. But at the same time, it's incredible at doing what it does. Being a defense wall, the Unaware or Magic Guard, rocks, get rid of status, heal up itself, heal up other monsters. A variety of things. There's a lot of things that go into it that it can be defensive. There's a bunch of different defensive sets, which is pretty cool. There's not a ton of defensive mons that you can run so many different good utility moves with it. But with Weavile, a little thing like that, I hear these arguments, it only does this. Weavile only does one thing but can't do anything else. There's no chance it can do anything else, but it's incredibly good at that one thing it does. Clefable, if we're going to say it's only good at one thing, is also incredibly good at what it does, but we do know it can do multiple things. Even just the difference between Magic Guard and Unaware is more variety than Weavile has in general. Mew, you're always going to have other mons that have Stealth Rock and this and that on your team. The biggest thing with that argument, it's seen in practice, it's the best mon in theory. There is no other mon better in theory because it has access to all these things, base 100 all across the board. But in theory, I don't see it having all of that variety and working in that way. It's one of those mons that's usually underperforming on every team. I've never seen a team underperform with Clefable. I've always seen it be a decent member of the team, and if the only thing it does is be defensive with rocks and status and healing mons and healing itself and stopping sweepers and stopping dragon types and being a really good fairy type, I am very fine with that. And you know, I still believe in my friend Clefable.
Much is on the line for John here with his whole belief system, and yeah. Will, your last points on Weavile and the other two.
Okay, so I know John uses belief as his arguments for Clefable, but I want to say that the best way to back up the mon is with hard facts and statistics, rather than just saying, oh, I believe Clefable is the best.
We're playing with magical monsters, Will. They're magic.
John, you know me and my analytics. In the end of the day, it comes down to the numbers. As we said, Season 4, 17-3 in terms of kills to death ratio. Weavile, Seasons 1 to 4 total, 25 kills and 13 deaths. And then this season, a little bit disappointing on this side, but 6 kills and 4 deaths. So overall, every time you bring it, you get a kill and a half, in the very least, every time it dies at least. So it's a very, very powerful mon, and even if you're able to trade 1-for-1 most times, that's still very, very useful in my book. And if you can get 2 kills for that 1 Weavile death, that's still absolutely incredible. So I'm just going to stand by the numbers. I don't think it needs anything else apart from that.
Okay, now it's up to me again, deciding who will be the winner of this round. We got the Clefable, which, John believes in very strongly. We got the Weavile with the strong offensive stats, and the Mew, which basically can do everything. And yeah, I have to go from the argument side here. Like, I don't want to get involved from my own opinion on that, but I think I want to give this 1 point to John and Clefable. And that's not only
because he believes.
That's not only because he believed so much in it. I gotta agree on that. He made a very good point on that. It's a fairy, and it's probably the best fairy. Like, there could be that could be an argument for another Pincer Mania, but in my opinion, it's the best fairy round, and nobody could basically argue something against that. I like very much the argument about the psychic typing of Mew, because that's a personal experience of mine. I like to stack up psychic types on my team, and that basically hinders me. Like, there's so many good rounds, the Lali Twins, Reuniclus, and the Uxie, Azelf, Mesprit, all this good stuff. And yeah, Weavile, I mean, both made the arguments. It's great at an offensive. It's great offensive typing, great speed, but it's only that. It will, when it comes, it will do this one thing, and you will of course have to prepare for it and have to check for it. But yeah, there is a check for it basically every time, because you know what it does and when it comes, what it will do. And yeah, that's why I will give this point to Fable and John. And this ties it up between John and Ethan, and Will's still sitting at 0 points, but that's not a problem. We still have a third round to go for.
We didn't believe hard enough, Will.
Yeah, you need
we
to
didn't believe.
You need to,
I know, we needed to.
you had to believe. You had to believe.
It's on Netflix, guys. You can watch the first. Come on.
I don't have Netflix.
No, God, Ethan.
I don't have. I'm sorry.
Okay, you don't have Netflix either. That's you're now at -1, Ethan. You know that.
No.
But okay, up to the next and final round, which is, in my opinion, the most exciting round of this episode of Pincer Mania, which is the most overrated mon in League format. And we already started with Ethan on that, we already started on John on this episode, so yeah, Will, what did you choose and why?
Okay, so I decided to choose Chansey for this one. I think definitely Chansey is by far the most overrated mon, not underrated.
Jesus.
But in my mind, Chansey is a very ironic mon, because if you think about it, eggs as like a ingredient are incredibly versatile. There's a lot of things you can do, but when you look at Chansey, it does one thing basically. It's just fat and it sits there and it loses you momentum. That's basically it. It's a massive knockoff weakness, and also bait for knockoff. If you want to switch it out, somebody's got to take that knockoff and lose their item from there. Huge setup fodder. You basically, if you have anything that's got more than base 100 HP, you guys saw it in this season of GBA, it just gets abused so badly, because you just set up a sub, set up your SDs or whatever you want, and Chansey just sits there and cries. It takes like half a brain basically to abuse it if you have this, have the Pokemon to do it. As I said, massive momentum killer, just so passive, and it's just, and it does one job. And I would argue as well, if you want something that's going to be fat and sits there, just get Blissey, because it's so much cheaper, and in my opinion it's way better because it doesn't have that knockoff problem.
Okay, that's Chansey, and yeah, Ethan, what is your pick as the most overrated mon in League format?
This is gonna be a little bit controversial, but I believe that Mega Venusaur is the most overrated mon in League format, and that's not because it itself is a bad mon. It's because when you think of it, it takes up your Mega slot. Like a lot of leagues have it so that you can only draft one Mega, and that's just because inherently Megas are extremely powerful, and preparing for one more often than not, excuse me, is enough of a challenge than having to prepare for a guy who's got Mega Venusaur and like Mega Charizard Y and so forth. The reason I think it is severely overrated, excuse me, I did the same thing as well, Jesus. The reason I think it's so severely overrated is the fact that like you're holding that up to offensive and defensive megas like Mega Charizard Y, Mega Pincer. You're holding it up to things like Mega Scizor, which can be offensive and defense. You're holding the thing up to things with offensive presences like Mega Heracross, or flippin' a Mega Aggron, which is fantastic, by the way. I don't care what anyone says. It's just, if you're gonna have a Mega slot, you probably want something that is fantastic, rather than just, it's okay, I guess. That and the fact, like, you can easily cover everything that Mega Venusaur can do with whatever the rest of your slots on the team. Like, a lot of Megas are extremely unique in what they can do and the kind of roles that they offer on the team. The thing with Mega Venusaur, it's just like you put two Mons into one. Okay, cool. But I want 8 move slots rather than 4. And it's just not as incredible as it could be, basically.
Okay, these are the points on Mega Venusaur, and yeah, as last but definitely not least again, John, what is your pick and why?
Okay, so I picked Heatran. Now, I got to give you credit. This is a fantastic topic because it's interesting to try to debate with people because you're gonna have to agree in some sense that these things are overrated. And how do you? It's hard to bash. I wanted to give a little shout out to you, Lars. That was fantastic. I'm just thinking in my head, what am I gonna say?
Okay, that's
But-
okay.
True.
John is working very well on getting that point this round.
What? Oh, okay, so we just have to be nice to Lars. Okay.
Yeah. So Heatran. This is a Mon in almost every freaking draft. I see it go in round 1 or 2, and I've never seen it do well, ever. It is just so painfully overrated. It's a defensive Mon with a very prevalent and just scary, huge 4 times weakness, 4 times weak to ground. Earthquake is something you see all the time. Earth Power, you see it all the time. And if you see a Heatran, both of those moves are on a lot of Mons, and it's not usually a problem to have too many Mons with ground coverage. Obviously, there is an immunity in flying types, but just... I can't... That 4 times weakness, it's one of the worst in the game, at least in the Draft League format for me. It is a great Mon when it comes to being able to get Stealth Rocks up, and then I guess you get Toxic, and like if you want a Will-O-Wisp, but then you don't want to do both, and I guess you got to decide there. You can Lava Plume, it's just... it contradicts itself when you want to have Toxic and Lava Plume is not going to burn most of the time. You're going to get angry. It's a nuisance.
The other day, I saw Lava Plume burn for the very first time. I'm not even kidding. It was the first time I've ever seen it happen.
And you always run on there. You're like, oh, I'm going to get a burn. You don't get a burn, and this is your wall to burn things. And I don't know. It's weak to fighting too. Yeah, but Skull... And then Magnastorm, you're gonna miss Magnastorm every goddamn time. That's the one thing I have to argue with people. Magnastorm is a really good move, yes, but running it in this stuff isn't the best because it has a chance to miss. And the reason it has a chance to miss is because it's such a broken move otherwise. So that's kind of the downside of it being so good. And if you plan to trap something, use that. There's just so many things. It's weak to too many things for a wall. It doesn't have instant recovery beyond leftovers. Knockoff is everywhere. It's a wall. You're switching into knockoff. That's one of your things you're going to switch into knockoff. I just don't think it's that good at all.
Yeah, that's Heatran. We definitely can agree that Lava Plume is not Scald, even though it should be on paper. And... yeah, these are all the points for the first round, and let's go for the second one. Will, why are the others worse than, more overrated than
Why
Chansey?
the others better?
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to address Heatran first, because I'm a bit upset with how narrow-minded John's been on this. I would still say Heatran is very, very versatile. Like, I used it
I didn't say it wasn't versatile.
No. Let me... John.
Hey, you're throwing darts. You're throwing darts. My heart.
Okay. You're making it sound like it's basically a potato, a defensive potato that sits there and gets EQ'd on. That is definitely not the case at all. It's got incredible special attack, and I've used it many times in League where you run it you can either run it Scarftran, you can run it Specs, and the difference between it's great defensively and it's great offensively, and it's really, really great to play mind games with your opponents, try and work out, right, can I switch something out and switch this into another plume, or is it then going to get to it KO because this is actually offensive Heatran? On top of that as well, it does get Flame Charge as well, and I have actually used that to some success before. Getting a little bit of a speed boost is actually really, really key. Also on top of that, having something that can switch into Willows and things like that is absolutely fantastic. And you could also use that 4 times weakness to your advantage to actually bait those EQs. Paired with a Lati Twin or something like that, it's absolutely incredible because people are really, really forced to go for that EQ, and you can get that Lati in really, really easily from there. Moving over to the Mega Venusaur, I would still disagree with the Mega Venusaur. I know I argued that it's starting to sort of lose how good it is because people know how to work around it and things like that. But it is still one of those Pokemon where if you lose your answer to it, it's incredibly difficult to come back and try and actually kill that thing. It's incredibly fat and really, really tricky to deal with. And on top of that as well, I know you're saying it's, it's a wall and stuff like that. Chansey is just, it does one thing, whereas at least Mega Venusaur, you can run it mixed, and it's, it can hit stuff. It can actually do damage to things, and it has Roar as well, so you can't even set up on it if you wanted to.
Okay, these are the points from Will, so let's go over to Ethan. Why is Mega Venusaur more overrated than the other two?
I think, can we talk about the fact that I have literally heard no one say ever that Chansey was good? Like, that's if you're, it's your first time in Draft League format, sure, you may pick up a Chansey, but I have never heard anyone say, after having used Chansey, that it was a good mod. So I'm not sure if it really fits the whole bill of being overrated, quote unquote. But I mean, sure, it does one thing and then dies. It's not, it just doesn't die. It's not an offensive threat. Kind of like Mega Venusaur. That being said, it's not as severely crippled by knockoff and so on and so forth. But the thing is for a fact that it will always have one form of stab. It will always have synthesis. It will always have I don't know about that, but you already know that it's going to have either Giga Drain or Sludge Bomb and then synthesis. Half its moveset every single week. So that's kind of an issue. There's also the fact that it can't even as I've said before, it can't run the offensive it doesn't have the offensive capabilities that Heatran does. I myself have ran offensive Heatran in practice games and so on and so forth. I think people sleep on offensive Heatran just because they are so inundated with alright, standard OU ladder, let's run defensive Heatran plus Garchomp plus whatever and so on. And then you always see defensive Heatran. The thing is Scarf Heatran outspeeds Mega Lopunny and OHKOs it with Overheat. That is super spooky. And there's also the fact that, Will, running Flame Charge is incredibly scary, especially because you can have that incredibly powerful, base 1 with 30 special attack, be put to good use and not be locked into a move. And even then, you could just run slow Specs, well, not even slow, because you've got a base 77 Mon, and when you fully invest in that, it's not actually that slow. Just dropping nukes everywhere. It's like Dragalge, except fast. And doesn't have adaptability. Adaptability.
There it is.
There it is. But yeah.
Okay, I guess that's all from Ethan now, and yeah,
I couldn't go on after I messed up adaptability.
Yeah, don't worry, you still got one more round to try and pronounce that right.
Salvage my dignity.
But okay, last for this round, John, why is Heatran worse than the other two, or is more valued, even though it's not?
Why is it flaming garbage? Okay, well, first I want to say, Will, Ethan, great choices. 2 fantastic Mons you picked.
Look,
love
you are not
really
getting
good.
nudes from me.
Damn it, come on! Okay, we will talk after the show, Ethan. It's not the time or place. Now, Heatran, the one thing that was brought up multiple times, and they're good points, and I'm not actually trying to dump on you guys and say it's wrong, but when you have to say Choice Scarf or Flame Charge for my specially offensive Mon, it's limited to, okay, we're going to run it offensively. 77 speed is not bad, unless it's, especially offensive mod. Then it becomes not really good, and speed in this format is so incredibly important. Choice Scarf Heatran is pretty good when you lock it into its, 1 or 2 stabs, and I mean, those are the only ones that are really gonna do good work. We can throw Earth Power for their other Heatran if you just want to OHKO that. That'd be fantastic, but you kind of know exactly what it's doing if it's offensive. It does have a great special offensive stat, but it just, that 77 speed really does cripple it. And what Will said with just pair it with a Latios. How are you getting a Latios in a Heatran? You did great. Like, wow, you are getting some fantastic mons easily. There's not many good flying types like that you're going to be able to complement Heatran with, depending on how the draft is. No matter what's going to happen, you're not going to be able to get really good mon, really good mon, really good mon. And Heatran, in my opinion, one of the reasons it's really overrated is because it gets drafted so quickly. You're not able to pair it with these incredible mons that have really good synergy with Heatran. But moving on to things like Chansey, I think Chansey has been so overrated for so long, it's become an underrated mon. And as Will did, I'm going to cite a GBA season where Dan made the championship, and as his team was underrated and he was underrated, he was kind of just able to slip right into the championship, really using Chansey incredibly well. When you lose your check or counter, whatever you have for Chansey, you lose. It's like Mega Venusaur, as we said. Once you don't have your plan intact to take that out, you're just screwed. I mean, Chansey is not something that is easy to take down. You can't status it to death. It can just switch out, can have, ability just to heal off in general. You can wish or soft boil, and that HP to wish to something else on your team is just disgusting. You can't knock it off, but even after you knock it off, it is so freaking disgustingly bulky. God damn it, Chansey. It's not my favorite mon to use, but I really do see it having a lot of value, and I think because it's so underrated at this point, you can draft it at a pretty good spot in almost any league. As no one will ever tell you it's good, you can get it and use it a lot better than its pick. Mega Venusaur, well, it's pretty fantastic. Yeah, I already argued why it was. I don't think I need to in the same episode say why I think Mega Venusaur is really good.
You can just go back in the video and basically listen what John said there.
Yeah. No. Yeah. The Heatran, it's a flaming potato that you earthquake, as Will says.
But okay, now going on to the last round, the final words for this, probably first episode, depending if we tie up here. Will, what are your final words on Chansey?
Okay, so I know, even you said that it is, you don't think that it's an overrated mon. Then if it is, if it isn't overrated, how on earth is it a OU pick still in the GBA? Surely it should be lower than that if you think it's going to be, what, sorry?
You said how.
I was gonna say something rude, and then I realized that John's in the GBA.
And Lars.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah, but
we at -2 now.
And going over the Heatran point, I know, John, you're saying about the speed issue, but you don't have, we're not saying that you have to run it as this thing that outspeeds everything and is a fantastic sweeper and stuff like that. It's a really, really great special wall breaker as well. It's just got that really nice speed where it outspeeds most walls. You don't have to put much investment in, so you can pump a whole load into HP, make it a really bulky mon that also packs an absolutely massive punch. And I think that's everything I've got.
Okay, these are the last words from Will. Ethan, you wanted to say something already when Will was talking. Now's your chance.
So first of all, Chansey is OU in the GBA because whoever did the tier list doesn't like playing against Chansey, and they're dumb, basically. Whoever did that was a bad decision. Like, Conk was also an OU pick. I don't think Conk should be an OU pick. Dragonite, while it's super good, oh no, Chris is gonna kill me. Like, Dragonite's super good. I don't think it's like OU tier worthy, because you're comparing it like with things like Mew, Latios, and so on and so forth. Like, it's not, I don't think the GBA tier list last season is anything to go off of. Like, I feel like there are definitely some mistakes there, like big ones, but I'm not gonna go into that. That could be a whole nother discussion. The crux of the matter is that, like, overrated means that, like, alright, you want something super quote-unquote fantastic, and then it just doesn't do anything. Like Mega Venusaur. It's, like, it in comparison with Chansey, like, people always draft it, whereas no one will draft Chansey because Chansey's bad. It's not overrated, people just think it's bad. And whether that's just because there's a negative connotation with it compared to Stall, that's another discussion in and of itself. But the thing is like, you can't just say, I would rather have... I don't know, some people might say this, but I myself cannot say that I would rather have Mega Venusaur compared to something like Mega Pincer, which by itself wins games, like just by existing. Like Mega Lopunny, which by itself, just by existing, wins games. Or Mega Sableye, which the only Mega that it loses to, hold on, let's go back to that. The thing is with Mega Sableye is that it's only scared of fairy types and Mega Lopunny. And the thing is like, there aren't that many really good offensive, stress on offensive fairy types. Them being like offensive Clefable, which usually isn't a thing, because like we talked about last round, it just dies. Or Mega Altaria, which is, if you don't know how to prep with it, it doesn't do anything. So on and so forth. So I can't just say that I would hold Mega Venusaur up to that tier. And again, it's like I said last round, like, you can replace Mega Venusaur with other 2-mon cores, which are way better in the long run. I'm talking like 2-mon cores, like, one of my personal favorite cores is Tentacruel and, Chestnut. Like, in between them, you get removal hazards, a specially defensive pivot, and a physically defensive wall, which basically can do everything that Mega Venusaur can do and more. You're condensing several Mons roles into one Mon, when actually having the multiple Mons is far better than just the one Mon. Moving on to Heatran, you can beat a lot of things just because people will expect the defensive set. Like, albeit Magma Storm is a pain in the butt because it misses, albeit Lava Plume never burns, but Scald always does. I think it's more the fact that people just, like, restrict it to its one role. Like, you don't actually have to run it defensively. You don't actually have to run Specs. You don't have to run it Scarf. Like, you can run Evo. You can run Life Orb. It can just... It is especially offensive Mon, and it can do it well. Alright, I'm done.
Okay, these are the points from Ethan. Let's hear the last words from John then. Let's go.
Boom. I mean, I've been saving this one because it's just... Heatran sits booty. Every team has a bulky water. Every Fringle draft team has a bulky water.
Every Fringle.
What can't Heatran do anything to a bulky water? Every goddamn team has a full-on counter to Heatran. Just so bad if it's offensive or defensive. And most bulky waters are going to be able to outstall it as well. As Scald, that one move that won't be able to burn Heatran, will be super effective against it. And if you want to go offensive with Heatran, that sucks, because you're not going to be able to beat that water type. If you want to hit that Love Disc with a defensive Lava Plume, it's, you know, it's a Love Disc, but still, it's not going to be effective. It's so difficult with Heatran. It's the Fire Steel Stab isn't necessarily bad, but it's just so bad against, like, probably the most common defensive type in Draft League. Not necessarily the best, it's just there's an overwhelming majority of water types, and they are really good, and they should be a staple on almost every team. Feel free, that's a whole different discussion. You want to debate me on that, that is completely fine, but I'm going to look at all of your teams that you've all had, I'm going to look for the bulky water, and then we'll have fun there. But, God damn it, it's garbage.
John again with that narrow-mindedness. Have you not heard of Power Herb Solar Beam, John?
You have no idea how upset that against Kote, I did not get to use Power Herb Solar Beaming Talonflame effectively because he didn't bring the Quagsire. Will, I don't want to talk about it. I'm still upset. Did I win that game? Yes, but that is not important because I didn't get the Solar Beam off.
Look, I mean, that's just a moral loss on your part.
It was.
Like,
It was
yeah.
You messed up, kiddo.
I was so excited. I was so excited about that. But even that, I don't know many water types that Slurp Beam's going to kill. Regardless, move past Heatran, it's booty. I can't take fighting hits. It can't take ground hits. Both, and it can take water hits, but it will not ever beat a water type. So it's just so many common types just are smacking them in the face, and be scarfed all you want, Heatran. What are you doing? Chansey, this is a mon that it's a weird one. It really is. It's overrated, it's underrated, it's overrated, it's underrated. It's really decent, and maybe it's not going to do a lot in the sense of offensive, but a lot of people tend to forget how defensive mons do in the draft league. It's so easy to count kills. Everyone has started counting kills and this and that, and what tier it's placed in, this and that, and this and that. It's easy to say it becomes overrated when it's put into a tier 1 place. A whole nother league says, hey, that's stupid, we'll put it like way down. Then it's underrated because now it's in a cheaper value. It's in flux of where its real value lies, how important it can be. It's always going to be decent. It is a top 3, like, specially defensive wall. There are just no special hits that dent it. And now physical, that's a whole different story, but you can just stop complete mons on the other person's team. They only have 11. They only have so many things, and if your team's really weak to one of their special mons, you have a chance that they can't kill it. Looks like you might have just won that game if that was their win condition. So it has a lot of value. It's not versatile in any way, shape, or form, but it just does what it does so incredibly well. Mega Venusaur, again, I wish I didn't already argue it because I feel weird saying, ugh, be gone, you're good, Venusaur. I've already said enough about you. But I have. Be gone, Venusaur. And I think that's it.
Okay.
And flaming garbage can of trash.
Okay, here it is, the last round. In my opinion, still the most exciting one. Pretty good arguments from all these sides, even from more controversial picks and stuff like that. And I want to say it's the most difficult round here to give the point to. I was really debating giving this point to Chansey or Heatran. I'm still not quite sure too, but I have to decide here. So, if I had to decide one, I would give this point to Will and Chansey. Not only because I want to tie it up, that would just make the episode even longer and we already at plus 1 hour, but the biggest argument versus Chansey, in my opinion, was the one that it's not even overrated. That's like, it's loyalty and stuff like that, but if you look at the leagues the minority has Chansey at a lower tier. If that's wrong or if that's right, that's a whole nother discussion, but the majority of leagues have Chansey still as an OU or OUB pick. And all the arguments which made for Chansey is, my opinion should be out of the window here, but in my opinion, Chansey is the most overrated too. Mega Venusaur was the most controversial pick. I like the arguments you made, even with like its takes on the Mega slot. We all basically heard them already in round 1. But I like these. Heatran, it's right. Earthquake is like, it's not like you have to run a weird hidden power to check Heatran. You can just run Earthquake, which is, even if they don't bring Heatran, it's still a powerful move. You basically didn't waste the move slot on putting Earthquake there. But it's still weak to that. But like the already said, it has various offensive options as well. I like the mention of Power-Up Solar Beam. And yeah, that's basically why I give this point to Chansey and Will, and not one of the other two. So, what happened now is that all 3 of the debaters here have 1 point, even though Ethan is morally at minus 2 points. We are talking here for the points of the debate. This means we are going into the speed round. For all of you viewers which have no idea what the speed round is, it's a whole nother topic. I will reveal that very soon. I just have to put up the timer here. So, I will reveal that topic. After I fully revealed the topic, I give you guys in total 1 minute to think of your mon you want to pick. You just scream it into your mic. Once it's in there, nobody else can pick it, like the other rounds worked. After that, we will have the same rounds as last time, but instead that you can talk as much as you want, you only have 30 seconds per round.
Oh, goodness.
So, that's basically how this works. So, let me reveal topic and start the timer. The topic is best non-Uber Auras Mega in League format. Go.
Mega opening.
Hold on. Specifically
Mega
that they
Pincer.
No, hold on, no. Specifically that they came out in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire.
Yeah, Mega Pincer is not Auras.
Okay.
Do you want... I can read out the list.
Wait, mine's legal, right?
Yeah, Mega Lopunny is fine.
God damn it.
Oh.
Mega Altaria.
Mega
No,
Altaria.
I got it. I put it first. No, I wrote it first.
He did write it like a retard. All retardara!
No, I got it.
You have to say it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You have to scream it into your mic.
Okay, so he gets Altaria, then I'll take Mega Metagross.
Mega Metagross.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Okay,
Oh.
so these are all the picks. We got Mega Lopunny for John, Mega Altaria for Will, and Mega Metagross for Ethan. John, you screen first, so 30 seconds for you. Why is Mega Lopunny the best Oris Mega in the format?
Fast as fuck, strong as fuck, and it hits Ghost as a normal and a fighting type. That's crazy. Fake Out makes it so easy to get its Mega off, which is really huge in the format. We've said things like Mega Venusaur aren't as good. I don't know why you guys didn't say you have to switch into it, then Mega to get the defenses. That would have been a great argument. Way past that, but you can use Fake Out, which is great, that priority. Fake Out Last Resort is one thing that you don't see often, but when used correctly, just beats teams by itself. You can set up with it. You can do Cosmic Power shenanigans or whatever that, like, weird
Okay,
set
that's all.
Fuck!
Okay, Will, 30 seconds. Why is Mega Altaria the best Oris Mega?
Say bird!
Will? Is
Oh,
Will
he died.
alive?
Will?
Will died?
Access to your Dragon Dance is absolutely insane.
there he is.
Really great defenses around the board as well. Really nice offenses. You can run it special with that Hyper Voice, a really great wall breaker. It has access to roost. You can run it
Oh
bubble.
god.
Oh, I thought I
You
was
can run it offensive, you can run it physically offensive, special offensive. There's so many options to it. It has support moves like Heal Bell. Really nice mon overall, and just fantastic typing. Is that the time? Did I
You
hit
still
time?
have 2 seconds.
Oh,
Okay, now it's the
sorry.
time. Okay, that was Mega Altaria. Now, Ethan,
That
Mega
was harsh.
Metagross. Best Oris
Okay.
Omega. Why?
Okay, so the reason I said Mega Metagross is because, like, most competent leagues now ban Mega Metagross. Like, it's a base 110 speed bomb with base 145 attack and 150 defense, not to mention 110 special defense, so it doesn't die. Not only does it not die, but the fact that, like, it has incredible coverage, like, it gets the elemental punches, it gets great stab and medium mash, which also can boost its attack. It gets priority in bullet punch, it also gets pursuit. So even when it can just come in on things and
And that's all.
pursuit up with the kills.
Stop.
No!
Okay, John, why are the hours worse than Mega Lopunny? Go.
Will's a Decepticon and no one knows what he said. A bird is dumb. Weak to rocks. It's hard for that thing to get megaed up. A lot of the time you do have to set up, and you have to set up. That's difficult in itself. Hyper Voice is always going to be good. But I don't know. It's really good. I don't see many people use it well. Mega Metagross, well, it's not even used in most leagues, so in those leagues that it's not used in. It does have some good weaknesses. Dark's really prevalent. Earthquake is very prevalent as well. Does have 4 move slot syndrome,
And
which is
stop.
very difficult.
Will, Mega Altaria. I hope. Are you fine? Please confirm that you
Yeah,
can
I'm
talk.
ready to go.
Okay, you can talk now properly. Okay, 30 seconds for you.
Okay, so Mega Lopunny. My issue with Mega Lopunny is the defenses on it. Yes, it's great that it outspeeds things and all that great stuff, but if you do not manage to OHKO that Pokemon and they have a reasonably good hit against you, you're probably going to fall down to that. So if they have some good defenses there, it's a very tricky thing for the Lopunny to break through. It really needs to be paired with wall breakers and stuff like that. Moving to Mega Metagross, same argument as John, banned in most leagues, so it's pretty pointless bringing up anyway, but it does have
And that's all.
some weaknesses.
Ow.
And okay, Ethan, Mega Metagross.
Oh,
Why is it better than the other two?
Not only does it like have better bulk and it can like doesn't require setup. Like when Lopunny comes in, if you want to get the Mega off, you have to go for Fake Out. Not only that, but it actually can beat its counters pretty easily. Like it has Hammer On to beat its counters. It has Ice Punch to beat ground types, dark types, whatever, so on and so forth. The thing with Mega Altaria requires setup. Like no matter what, it will have to set up at some point. The thing with Mega Lopunny is the fact that like it has issue breaking through things.
And that's all. Okay.
Jesus.
Final round, final words. John, Mega Lopunny. Let's go.
Boom, 94 defense, 96 special defense. Kapow! That is pretty decent. And you don't always have to invest completely into speed because it outspeeds so many things like the 2 Megas already said. Mega Metagross, I never got to finish it. 4 move slot syndrome really hurts it. That goatee thing it has looks really stupid. I don't like it. Altaria, it rocks weakness. You got to set up in most times. It is really good in theory if you have all these right conditions, and that's difficult. And Mega Lopunny is ready to go Fake Out, and bam, you're dead. And late game,
Okay,
that
that's all.
speed is huge.
Bap. Will, Mega Altaria, go.
Okay, so going back to the Mega Metagross, my argument with Mega Metagross is the fact that, as John said, the 4 moveset syndrome, it's very difficult to try and get the moveset perfected absolutely right. It doesn't get access to Fire Punch as well, which is a real pain, so it does struggle with a lot of dual-type steals. They are able to wall it pretty effectively, and unless you want to run HP Fire, but even then, you lose that speedy IV and stuff like that, and that's a real pain. Mega Lopunny as well, yes, it does have other versatility and stuff, but basically it runs the same thing every
That's
time.
all.
It has Fake Out, Return...
Stop.
Okay.
Look, even
God.
last time. 30 seconds, go.
Metagross doesn't really... I don't know why you're talking about Fire Punch when it has access to Earthquake, which allows it to beat Steel-type counters. It also has access to Hammer Arm and Power Up Punch, which are also moves that can beat Steel-types. No! God damn it!
Talk about the goatee. The goatee.
Goatee is love, goatee is life. Beards.
You still have 7
Squad.
seconds.
Bird sucks, Lop sucks, cause Shoddy sucks. Easy peasy, I win. I'm the president!
Okay, that's all. Bam! These was the speed round, and now it's up to me to side round. I always love the speed rounds, it's very fun.
Oh my, that was stressful. I'm gonna need, I need a drink.
Okay, like, and yeah, I think I should make my decision really quick too, because it's the speed round, and I will have to give this to Mega Metagross and Ethan.
Jesus!
This basically, the best argument versus Mega Metagross were that it has the 4 move syndrome and that it's banned in most leagues. First of all, that it's banned in most leagues is no argument. I was not saying it has to be allowed. If it's allowed, it's the best one. We already saw that in multiple leagues, be it the UCL, be it the PFC.
Like average 3 kills a game in leagues. It's not fair.
Yeah, Mega Lopunny, Mega Atari are still great, but I mean, alone that Mega Metagross is banned should show its value as a potential OS Mega. I mean, I was already wondering why no one brought up Mega Latias, for example, but Mega Metagross is still a viable choice. Mega Atari, Mega Atari and Lopunny are great mons in the format. We can all agree to that, but I gotta say, Mega Metagross is the best one out of these 3. So, Ethan, congratulations to winning the 4th Pincer Mania in history. Woo!
At least I came second.
I mean,
It was so great to finish first as Ethan just above us mere mortals, an immortal meme above first place. Take it.
Memes love,
but okay, I gotta still thanks all of my guests, of course. I thank you, John. I thank you, Will. I thank you, Ethan. You were a great cast for this episode, and yeah, looking forward to do more with you guys potentially in the future. Who knows? Maybe they basically don't like me, but maybe if I can pay them enough, that maybe change.
Yeah, when do we get paid? Is it after this? Do we send you our PayPal?
Not yet, Will. Like John already said, there's a time and a place for discussions like this. But okay, yeah, I would wrap this up. Again, congrats to Ethan for winning this one. And yeah, any last words from any of 3 of you?
Ethan, Will, you are a fine gentleman. Congrats to me for the win.
I'd like to thank John for being such a great loser in these circumstances, and don't forget guys to go check out my MySpace profile.
Link in description.
Yeah.
Shoutouts to everyone here. Thanks for having us on. Meme for president. Hashtag memes for puppies 2016. Yes.
I do like puppies.
That's it. And okay, yeah, that's all. I will see you another time. Ciao.